Hey, so I got kind of cut off. I'm trying to resume where I left off. It looks like at this point you're at 200, he's at 158. So you really let him come back by not attacking sooner than this. Also, he's massing upgraded Stalker with charge lots. And obviously the counter to that is just a whole bunch of M&M and Banshees and tanks, which is what you're doing. So you're doing the right general mixture of units, but you have no medevacs. I would like to see a lot more medevacs. And you have no upgrades. You're 0-1 against his 3-3, so that's crap. The longer the game goes, the more you should try to focus your efforts towards upgrades. Like Cloak, for example. Cloak is $400 that you could spend on better things early, but once you've hit 200 unit space, immediately go start research Cloak, research all this stuff, get 2 engineering bays and research at them. Looks like maybe you are researching at 2 engineering bays. Where are they? They're not hotkeyed if they exist. So again, these battles are going well for you because your opponent refuses to make Colossus. You didn't use your Raven. What? Okay, so Simon's daddy. All right, don't call Simon daddy. Call him father or something, so I can tell the difference. These Emps went well. This battle went generally poorly in that he did good force fields and your positioning allowed him to do well. You've spent more money than him, but you're winning these fights by a long, long margin because the Banshees are just really good against the composition he's going for. Really, this all just comes down to your opponent choosing really bad compositions. Just upgraded Stalker Zealot. Stalkers are so bad. But again, he keeps reinforcing and reinforcing and reinforcing while you're not reinforcing. You got all this money piled up because you hit 200 unit space. You've got to throw down a bunch more production facilities. Max mule energy on your things that can possibly have mule energy. Under saturation over here. You are throwing down more production facilities. That's great, but 3 is not going to cut it. You want to throw down like 10 more. This is slightly oversaturated, but that's good enough. It's fine. This is perfect. So you got perfect saturation on this space and this space, under saturation here, and no saturation here and here. At this point, I would just be making...
Upgrade complete.
Sorry. You gotta worry about him... I don't know. Basically, you're doing the right thing. You're doing great. Lots of starports. I would have liked to see these actually added to your control group because you made them and never used them because they weren't added to your control group. That's kind of bad. Same thing here. Making a racks isn't good enough. You have to also hotkey it. So yeah, you're up to 5 starports, but 2 of them are unhotkeyed. You might be saving all of that mule energy for scans, like because you've seen DTs and you're worried about more DTs coming, but I guess that's a wise move because you seem to be really bad at using your Ravens, but it's really easy to use Ravens if you just have them auto-follow a tank or auto-follow a Banshee, you know? Don't hotkey your Ravens, or if you do hotkey your Ravens, always attack into him and then attack behind him, and then your Ravens will go stand behind your army. Same thing with Ghosts. If you don't pay attention to your casters, they can end up just wasting huge amounts of money. Be going unused. 10 idle workers. Again, there's no workers here. This is terrible. And you could use a lot more command centers. If you're maxed and you have a ton of money, get every upgrade you can, which means Cloak, and your infantry upgrades. You're only 1-1. And then just start throwing command centers down everywhere. You know, like throw in here and here and here and here and here and here, you know? And just use the command centers you throw down to scout, you know? Like it'll tell you whether or not he has an expo there if you throw down a command center, right? And then you can turn them all into orbitals, and if he comes and attacks one, you can just float it away, and otherwise you can use it for mules. And when you have to run away because DTs hit your planetary fortress, you can run to one of the unsaturated bases, you know? So yeah, lots of command centers. When you get to the late game and you keep hitting 200 unit space and you can't keep up with battles fast enough because you keep maxing before you can fight another battle, that's when you need a million, zillion, quadrillion orbitals. Not orbitals. Yeah, orbitals. Just, you know, extra bases. So this battle Again, like before, he's still spent more money than you. You've still done really well in every battle. This army size-wise, you have 7,000 and he has only 4,000. So this should hopefully go very well for you. Yep, he just kind of blinks away and says, "There's no way I'm going to win that." Stim and Medivacs go together. If you don't have Medivacs, you can't stim. Ooh, these DTs are chopping you to bits. So he's harassing your army in order to distract you from defending your base, but luckily you've got lots of starports and lots of Banshees. You can mop up DTs with a Raven and some Banshees without even having to go look. Again, you want these guys floating above your M&M, because what he's using to counter your air is Stalkers, but Marauders are awesome against Stalkers, so, you know, keep them together. They work together as a pair. They don't work well alone. Looks like you made the wrong choice here. You're saying, I'm gonna let the DTs kill all of my units, and that's never the right choice. This again comes down to you not having Ravens with your army because you keep losing your Ravens. And that's something you got to work on. Every time you move an army with a Raven in it, you have to remember not to let the Raven walk off and die. So it's a really obnoxious skill to get good at, but eventually, if you make Ravens often enough, you'll get used to it and stop losing your Ravens for no reason. Again, throw down more command centers, which is I can see you're doing. This is great. This is great. This is exactly what you should be doing. These DTs are getting an unusually large number of kills, especially building kills. Is totally terrible. You still never hotkey these guys. You still never use these guys. You still got max mule energy here. But if that, so you lost your entire ground army to DTs because you're relying on scans to defend against them. So every time your scan expires, he just walks in again. Because you don't have cloak. If you had cloak, you could just walk around with impunity cloaked, and he'd have to make observers. And then you could kill an observer, you know, and then with a marine, and then he'd be like, oh. So every time you win a battle when you have cloak, you just get unlimited impunity over everything. It's awesome. I like the mass Banshee in TVP. It's doing good. Good times. You're still pretty far ahead, but it's taking way too long to mop up these DTs. It's just silly. You're just kind of ignoring them and hoping that you can win by hitting his production infrastructure, which, you know, sometimes you can just win by doing that, but you definitely should focus on the weakest part. There's 4 pylons powering all of his stuff. So if you just knock down those 4 pylons, he'd be dead. He'd be completely dead, and it's really easy to knock down 4 pylons. So now he's mining out at his only 2 remaining bases, and it looks like he won this game. You did a lot of really good things. You did a great job of spending all your money, and by all your money I mean all your gas. You kept your gas low the entire game. Your minerals piled up, but that's